Hi, it's Nicole, and today I'm going to be doing an unhaul video. It feels kind of weird to be doing an unhaul video when I've never done a haul before, but I guess for a little bit of context, other than a bunch of other reasons, part of why I don't really do hauls is so far this year I've only bought 6 books in total, and I think last year I bought maybe 17 books, and that was partly because of a book club that I was part of and indie press project. So in general, I think I don't really buy that many books, even though in my head I do, but I'm not really inclined to do hauls very much. However, I do like getting rid of things in general, and I've just recently been listening to a lot of minimalism and decluttering and organization stuff, and so I guess I've been feeling a little inspired to get rid of a bunch of stuff, and so I've tackled a few books. I'm trying to be heartless. I'm trying to just, get rid of things because I'm a very sentimental person, and then I have these stages of get rid of everything in my life. So there's a balance, But anyway, let's just go through them, and hopefully as we go through the books I'm not going to convince myself to keep anything. First up we have The Past by Tessa Hadley. A few years ago when my mum was over, before, the pandemic and whatnot, she bought this book, I think just kind of randomly, and I think she said it was a little slow to get into, but then she really liked it, so she gave it to me. I have no prior knowledge of this book, not any real interest in finding out more or anything like that, and I think it's probably available on Scribd if I really did want to read it, so I'm going to get rid of that. Then we have Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche. This one I've had since uni because when I was doing my dissertation, for some reason I thought that this would be relevant. I feel like maybe I would understand certain references and things that come up sometimes in literature and film, perhaps if I read it. I don't know, maybe I could make some witty connections between things, and that's part of why I guess I was holding on to it, but now I feel like I don't care that much. Shangfu, The Old Man of the Moon. I read this. I don't remember anything about it. I think it was probably fine. Tomorrow's People by Susan Greenfield. I mean, I don't think these are from me. I must have got the second hand because that does not look like my writing. I don't know if this was picked up when I was doing my dissertation or when Dan was doing his dissertation. Probably his, because his had to do with transhumanism and stuff. So I don't know. I don't care. The Welsh Book of Fairy Tales. No, the Welsh Fairy Book. I didn't want to let go of this one, partly because, I haven't finished it. I've only got that far into it, and I think the story that I'm in at the moment just felt like it's boring and I don't care and whatever. But I also feel like I should read this book because my dad is Welsh, and I don't know, it feels like there's some sort of cultural learnings that I'm obliged to know about or something. But I don't know, I can't be bothered with this anymore, and I think it's partly as well because I started it years and years and years ago, and now I'm just not in that phase right now, and I don't know. It feels like one of those obligation holds, I'm gonna let it go. I hope. Then we have Discourse on Method and Meditations on the First Philosophy. Again, I got this because of my dissertation many years ago. And again, I kind of want to keep it and read it because I'm like, oh, maybe it'll make me smart or something. But I think it won't. I'm smart enough. That's a joke. Bad Science. I don't know, it's probably an interesting pop science book, but I don't care. Stephen Fry, Mobe is My Washpot. It's probably funny, maybe, but it's really chunky, and I like Stephen Fry, but not that much, to read the whole, yeah. And I feel like some of these books, I also didn't get this book myself. I think someone else was getting rid of books and they were like, oh, here you go, and I have it now. Big Questions in Science. I think I actually did read this at one point in my life, at least some of it, and I don't know, I maybe could learn stuff. Maybe I should read it. I don't care. Zadie Smith, Swing Time. This is somebody else's book that I don't remember if they lent it to me or if they gave it to me to have. Like, am I supposed to give this back? I don't know, maybe I'll ask them. But before they gave it to me, I actually tried to listen to this on audio and I couldn't get into it. I think I was halfway through and I was like, not feeling it. So maybe that's a sign that I should just not bother, because, you know, I want to love Zadie Smith's books, but I don't know, I've tried with 2 of them so far and I just got bored. Freakonomics. I think I read this in university and it like blew my mind, and then now when I think back on stuff and when I look at other people's reviews of it that are a little bit more measured, I guess, I feel like, yeah, I can see all of the criticisms that people might make for it, but it made a big impression on me and it made me think more about how I think about statistics, how I think about research and information, and it also had some stories in here that have just stuck in my mind for whatever reason, and so I don't know, I think favorably about this book, but I don't think I need to hold on to it. This book, Do Something, I really wanted to like this, but I think I'm too old for it. No, I don't want to put it like that. I think so. I bought this book recently. I bought this book, I think, 2 months ago, because I was in the Waterstones in Carlisle and I felt like I need to buy something to support bookshops now that I'm actually in a bookshop again after like 1.5 years of not being able to, or something. I don't know, I had a moment of lunacy. And I picked this up because it's about political activism. It's something which is something that I want to be doing more of. You'll have to excuse the light. Just think of me as an angel. Yeah, so I want to get more into political activism, and I feel like it would be good to have sort of a primer, but now, having read this, I feel like I don't need a primer. I need something that's a lot more meaty than this. I was just skimming through huge sections of it, and it's all like, yeah, this is super basic. So I think this would be fantastic for a young person who's wanting to get into politics and needs a bit of a confidence boost about the things that they can do, and an idea of different approaches and stuff like that. But I feel like, similarly to minimalism books, these things are whole categories of books that I just don't feel like anyone needs. I love reading minimalism and organization books, and it's partly just because it's a calming process, and I find it very I don't know, it just makes me feel nice to read those kinds of things. But I feel like, do we really need instructions about how to get rid of stuff? No, we don't, not really. Like, we can figure that out. We can. You know, it's kind of like those books give you permission to do so. This feels like I'm not getting anything interesting and new out of it, even though I want to make clear that that's because of me, who I am, what I already know, and not because of the book. I think it is a solid book, and I think it is an encouraging book, but I just think it's for a younger audience, or perhaps a very politically removed audience who has no idea anything at all about politics at all. And so, I don't know, that's just not me. So I'm going to be passing this on. Hopefully someone can benefit from that. I'm actually trying to think if there's anyone that I know in my life who would like it, that I could give it to. But, I don't know, charity shop. Next we have The Essence of Buddhism, and I vaguely remember getting this years ago, maybe just after uni, maybe during uni, I don't know. I'm gonna close that window a little bit. Ah yes, dark, but much better. So for some reason I have acquired a lot of religious texts. I don't really know why. Well, no, I do. One time I was walking through town and a man stopped me to talk about Islam, and he gave me a copy of the Quran, which I thought was very kind of him. I have been given a copy of a book on chanting by a Buddhist monk, but I have a lot of religious texts and stuff in my home. This one I feel like I probably would find interesting. Oh, did I? Oh, it looks like maybe I've made some notes in this. Is that me? I don't know. But yeah, it's probably time to move that on to someone else who actually would make better use of that and would, you know, come back to it more regularly and stuff. This I got as a gift a few years ago from my aunt because she loves the Dilbert comics and I'm an illustrator and cartoonist, so she thought, there you go, and that was really nice of her. That's cool. But I've never opened the book in all of these years, and I think it's partly just because I'm not that bothered about Dilbert, and I don't mind passing this on to someone who will laugh their head off on Dilbert comics. So that's what I'm getting rid of for now. There are other books that I think I will ultimately get rid of at some point, like the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I have a lovely Penguin edition, Penguin Great Ideas, I think, edition. I just like the design a lot, but I don't know, it just feels like one of those books where it's like I'm reading and I'm like, yeah, true, that's totally cool, but also I could be spending my attention doing something else that's maybe more new and interesting and constructive. Maybe those kinds of obligation reads, or like I should have read this by now, or classics and so on. Maybe I should just listen to those on audiobook from Scribd. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. But I hope this was interesting to see the kinds of books that I'm getting rid of and why. If you have any questions about any of them, just let me know. Obviously, I have not read most of them, which is funny because maybe I should see that as a failure, but I kind of see it more as just unloading a bunch of stuff that feels like just obligations in my home. And I think that's healthy. Let me know if you've unhauled any books recently and why, and what kind of criteria you go through before like getting rid of a book. I think a lot of the time people have a tendency to be like, well, I'm only, you know, reading is my hobby and I do it for fun, and so I'm only going to keep books that bring me joy and whatever. For me, that's not really why I read. I read mostly because I have a certain curiosity for certain things, and so a challenging, difficult read that's not particularly enjoyable is enjoyable in its own way to me. I feel like that it brings me a lot of value, and that's part of why I read. So whether or not something feels like it'll be a fun read does not really factor into whether or not I keep a book. So I think a lot of obligation reads, for me, I like keeping some of them, even though it gives me like that guilt feeling in a way sometimes. Does that make sense? So yeah, I find it difficult to go by that kind of criteria of like, do you like genuinely want to? No, there's a lot of stuff that I really don't want to read, but I feel like I should in a healthy way, you know? Like, not like I should because someone else wants me to, but like I should because my ideal self wants me to, and I feel like my ideal self is who, you know, that's who I want to be ideally, you know? So I think that's fine. Maybe some people find that to be some kind of unhealthy neurotic pressure, but I feel like that's how I grow as a person. So yeah, let me know your criteria for keeping a book and when you decide to throw it out in the world. Do you have to have read a book before being able to get rid of it, or are you like me and you're like, haven't read it, don't care, it's out of my life? Yeah, that's all I have for now, but I'll probably try to film a few more videos today, so you might see me in this same setup, outfit, etc. shortly. See you next time. Bye. Seems like there's a motorcycle party outside.